and they get underway off the pre-grid. So let's run you through the starting order. On the front row, pole position is the Czech Republic's Sebastian Belhosin. Alongside him will be Austria's Lukas Vanna. Lori Lepaj, who we spoke to a bit earlier on, ahead of Jan Ries, Nick Coppens and Stefan Furtbauer on row 3. Then it's Piotr Zwizazinski and Jakob Hornbachner on row 4. Lars van Vark and Mick Knowlton, who leads the championship, rounds out row 5. Una Oksanen and Juvo Parviainen make it a finish, row 6. Rick Boothon and Emily de Hoys sees the Netherlands comprise row number 7. Kari Astrand and Rasmus Friedel make it a Swedish row 8. William Noonan and Ragnar Virus on row 9, with Kairo Kivi, who was disqualified post-race on the last qualifying heat due to a technical infringement. Alongside we'll have Benz Tucson in the 236 alongside, and starting from the back part of the grid after suffering further kart issues, as found out by Oliver a little bit earlier on after heat number 1, where he came to an abrupt halt, and means that his championship hopes could be under threat this year. A real shame for the Swede, having shown such great promise in Genk back in April when we started the championship. So 21 competitors, 10 minutes plus 1 additional lap here as the sunshine returns. We are now at 33 degrees ambient air temperature, and it's not just the air temperature that's on the increase, it's also the action on track for round 3 of the 2018 season. The field quickly concertinas into the 2x2 rolling start formation. Senior Max action set to get underway for the second time today here in Austria, and they slow to a crawl. They go round the final corner into the tram lines, and we go green, lights out, and it's off down to turn number 1 with Belhosin keeping the field at bay, gets the whole shot off the starting grid and tries to make that initial getaway, but I don't think that Lori Lepaj will have that, will hopefully have an answer. Lepaj took the first qualifying heat win after a great battle between himself and Philip Vava, who I would imagine we will see in qualifying heat number 3 later on this afternoon. But meanwhile, Belhosin leads from Lepaj, and I think Vanna is there in 3rd place. So we'll just wait for the field to come around the final couple of corners to find out our running order with just over 9 minutes to go plus an additional lap. Belhosin, Lepaj, Coppens up into 3rd place. Vanna, Zwizazinski, Van Vark, Oksanen, Hornbachner, Ries and Boothorn. That is your top 10. A little bit further down the order, other drivers that have made moves up the field. Well, I've just been checking out where Mick Knowlton is. He's currently in 12th position after just 1 lap. Rick Boothorn all the way up into 10th place. Emily de Hoys and Rasmus Friedel have made up moves, as has Hannes Morin, who is no longer last. He's now 20th. Still has a lot of ground to make up, and with the field currently separated from first to last, it's 3.8 seconds, and you can just see that literally they will be on the same straightaway at exactly the same time. Look at this darting and dodging and weaving all the way through the field. And Morin has made up another 2 places. He's got past Parviainen and Virus, so the Swede now up into 18th place. Next on his list will be Kairo Kivi from Estonia in the 256 and 17th position. But Belhosin's lead over Lori Lepaj last time around was over 3.5 tenths of a second. The gap has been decimated slightly. But the Czech driver doing a great job out front for the moment. He's trying to repeat the feat of what Philip Vava did in the first qualifying heat, but he's got the driver that took the first qualifying heat right behind him to the tune of just over 3 tenths of a second. Top 4 separated by just over 9 tenths, so it's Belhosin, Lepaj, Nick Coppens and Lukas Vanna rounding out the top 4. Piotr Zwizazinski in 5th place. Van Vark 6th. Oksanen 7th. Jan Ries now up into 8th past Hornbachner. Boothorn rounds out the top 10 with Furtbauer behind. Mick Knowlton still stuck in 12th position, not able to make any inroads yet, but you can tell just by how tightly compacted this entire 21 strong field is There are gaps now starting to spread, and I think that Mick Knowlton might have made at least one place up. Could it be two? Because I think he might have got past. Yes, he got past. He got past Will Newnham from the UK in the 2:02. So Mick Knowlton, the points leader, now up into 10th. He's got a little bit of a distance between himself and Rick Boothorn for 10th position. There's a nice little move up the inside there. Trying to keep an eye on that particular driver. Either the one in front or the one behind. Well, the one behind was the 274 of Cuppen, so I'm thinking, has Lucas Vanna actually got in front? We'll find out momentarily as the two leaders starting to get away with about 6.5 minutes plus an additional lap left to go. So 2/10. Yes, Vanna made the move on Nick Cuppens, and Swijazinski swoops up the inside of the Belgian into turn number 1. Great. Even though it's a short blast, that was a bit sideways there by Lucas Vanna, fending off Swijazinski, that's Belhossin actually, who went sideways, fighting off Lori Lepai. And you can see that very quickly there are battles up and down the order, first and second. Now look at the train from 3rd position. That's going to be incredibly hard fought all the way through this race. And the two battling in the front, they are allowing Lucas Vanna to catch up to them. So Belhossin leads from Lori Lepai. Lucas Vanna in third. Van Vark now up into 4th position. So Nick Cuppens has dropped down from 4th to 6th place in the last lap, as we have just over 5 minutes to go plus an additional lap. You can see that Belhossin is looking over his right shoulder to see where Lori Lepai is, and he's pretty much on the back bumper right now as they go through the infield section. A little bit more aggressive curb taking there from the Finn. But now there is Lucas Vanna, and he is looming on the pair of them right now. So it is fast approaching. With it's going to be less than, I think, half a second between the trio up front. They are starting to make a breakaway from Lars van Vaart from the Netherlands, who is still stuck in 4th. 0.468 between the trio at the front, and that gap is only going to concertina even further. But Belhossin has got about a cart length and a half between himself and Lori Lepai, with Lucas Vanna from Austria right there with them. And now going to the infield part of the track. Very quick changes of momentum here, so it's about making sure that the braking and the throttle manipulation is at its absolute optimum, turning in, clipping the apex when you need to, but not exceeding track limits. Meanwhile, it's not going to plan for Hannes Morin. I think he's got more trouble. He's down at 21st and last is the Swede in the 2:19. So the gap between Belhossin and Lepai is now 0.362 of a second, and Lucas Vanna is right there with the Finn, going down onto the back straight, about a cart length between the pair of them. Not even that, as they go through this very bumpy, undulating chicane on the middle of the back straight. And I think Lucas Vanna might have gone a little bit wide coming into that final corner there. So he's lost out to the two in front just by a mere fraction. So top 10 with 3 minutes 40 seconds to go. It's Belhossin from Lepai, Vanna, Van Vark, Swijazinski, Cuppens, Oksanen, Hornbachner, Knowlton now up into the top 10 ahead of Rick Boothorn from the Netherlands. The gap now is extended between Belhossin and Lepai to just over 0.3 of a second. Fastest lap of the race, though, is our current points leader, Mick Knowlton, now still in 8th place. He's got about 0.4 of a second between himself and Hornbachner in 8th position. Whereas Belhossin is doing an absolutely fantastic job at the front of the field, controlling the race and not allowing Lori Lepai to get past. But could this be a repeat of what we saw in qualifying heat number 1? So Lori Lepai has been biding his time, I think strategically waiting for that move to get past into the lead, and that will put him into pretty good contention. Even if he finishes second in this particular heat, he'll have done the absolute maximum he can to get up the grids as far as possible for the two finals tomorrow afternoon. But Belhossin is keeping it very, very well planted there, and is not having the same issues that Philip Vava had when he went sideways coming into that corner off the back straight. And I'm sad. I'm I'm really gutted to say this, but Hannes Morin, I think, has parked it for the second race in succession. He's a lap off the leaders. It's not gone well for the Swede. And yeah, that is confirmed. He is parked right now. So another DNF, another weekend to forget for Hannes Morin. Following the disaster in Sweden, it's happened. It's followed him here in Austria. And meanwhile, at the front of the field, 1 minute 45 plus an additional lap to go. So our three leaders are pretty much together, separated by just over 3/4 of a second on the last time around. But Belhossin getting his head down, keeping ahead of Lori Lepai from Finland. Then it's Lukas Vanna from Austria. That's your top three. So they come round through the penultimate corner, round the left-hander, which puts them on the short start-finish straight blast into turn number 1. And Belhossin has extended the gap between himself and Lepai, who's now coming under pressure from Lukas Vanna for second position in the dying stages of this race. Oh, and there you got Lukas Vanna just taking a little bit too much there, getting a bit greedy coming out of that chicane. So Belhossin still commanding this race, still keeping Lori Lepai and Lukas Vanna at bay as we come into the last 45 seconds. So when they come across the start-finish line, with the pace they've been setting around the 43-second mark, it'll be this plus an additional lap to go as the time will tick away. So nearly 4.5 tenths of a second separates Belhossin, who leads. So Czech Republic versus Finland versus Austria at the front of the field. So looks like there's been a time penalty issued for Rasmus Friedel in the 2:10, 5-second penalty. But meanwhile, at the front of the field, it is 9 seconds on the clock. The timer will count down before they get to the final couple of corners. And the Czech Republic's Sebastian Belhossin is just 1 lap away from victory for the first time this season. Having been in contention at Kristianstad, he now is making a turnaround here in Austria. They go into turn number 3 for the final time, and that gap is still around 4 tenths of a second, might even be a little bit more as they come through the back straight with the chicane, adding a little bit more of a momentum switch for the drivers and a bit more of a challenge too. Mick Knowlton in the meantime still in 9th place as we are on the final lap. I think it could be that Sebastian Belhossin from the Czech Republic has done enough. He gets his head down yet again, going through the infield section through this flat-out chicane as they come into the final sector of the lap here at Speedwell in Austria. And penultimate corner's turn. Now it's across the left-hander. Checkered flag waves for Czech Republic. Sebastian Belhossin, who wins by over 5.5 tenths of a second from Finland's Lori Lepai, with Lukas Vanna making the move up into 3rd place. Nice work by Lars van Vaart from the Netherlands, who started 9th, would finish 4th. Piotr Schwizazinski finishes 5th ahead of Nick Cuppens. Una Oksanen in 7th. Jakob Hornbachner in 8th. Mick Knowlton, the points leader, in 9th. Rick Boothorn rounding out the top 10. Followed by Emily de Hoys, Jan Ries in the 297. Started on row 2 in 4th place and would finish 12th ahead of Will Newnham, Kalle Astrand, Juho Parviainen, Ragnar Virus, Ben Stusson, Kairo Kivi, Stefan Furtbauer, who started on 6th place, with Rasmus Friedel getting a 5-second time penalty during the race, with Hannes Morin's weekend one to clearly forget, as he did not finish the race.